So welcome back to the circuit, Ricardo, Tormo, for the Hawkers European Talent Cup race 1 of the day. And it's already been a fantastic Sunday of racing with an absolutely corking Moto3 encounter first time out. No spoilers if you've missed it. So as we said, welcome back to a now sunnier track as well. We discussed in the Moto3 race. Conditions improving, and they're all ready to go for the Hawkers European Talent Cup riders. And we have blue skies finally. We have fans back in the stands as well, which is absolutely great to see. And I'm sure it's going to be another classic encounter with the European Talent Cup competitors. It's always close racing, always a thriller. And it has been this season for sure, including in Jerez, which is the last time we saw the European Talent Cup in action.
Certainly was, Fran. And Maximo Martinez, the number 28 rider, did the double to take the championship lead. He comes into this weekend with an 8-point lead, and it was a superb display from the number 28 in Jerez. Won both races not easily. It's never easy in the Hawkers European Talent Cup.
Yeah, but it was quite a performance, wasn't it, from him, and really impressive stuff. Like you said, it's always such close racing in the ETC, so getting the job done and doing the double, no mean feat, really incredible stuff. And yeah, Jerez with that final corner always adds a little bit of extra spice as well. But these guys really put on a show, and we're sure they will do once again today. And it's the other class as well where we do have a title on the line. So it's a big, pivotal Sunday in the HETC.
Certainly is, and that was the two MT Foundation 77 bikes going down, and the number 51 is Brian Ariarte. We've got 4 title contenders. One of them was Xabi Zurutuza. That was his nasty crash going through the first of the really fast right-handers in Jerez. Thankfully, Zurutuza was perfectly okay, but the race winner twice in Jerez was the number 28 Maximo Martinez. And as we mentioned, he comes into the final 2 races here in Valencia with an 8-point lead over Adrian Crusez. Zurutuza, after that first DNF of the season, is 3rd in the championship, 11 points down. And Brian Ariarte, after 2 second places in Jerez, is 20 points down. So 4 title contenders, Fran. This should be a very, very good couple of races in the Talent Cup.
It's going to be a good couple of races, and it's going to be a good test of our maths as well, I think, on the fly. But yeah, it's going to be a really interesting one, this, I think. Like you said, Zurutuza had that first, sorry, I don't do it very Spanish style, I do it more Latin American style. Zurutuza had his first DNF of the season last time out in Jerez, and until then had been really the most consistent of the guys at the front, because we'd already had a DNF in race 2 at Valencia for Max Martinez, and then in Catalunya for Adrian Crusez, who are the 2 riders ahead of him. And yeah, it was a little bit of a dent that he could have done without after a little bit of a slower start to the season for Zurutuza. But once he'd been on the top step in Catalunya, really kicked on, did the number 85. So it's going to be an interesting showdown, and with Ariarte in the mix as well. He's got 2 DNFs so far, but it could all change again at the top today in race 1, and we'll have to see when we're going to even get a champion crowned in this one.
Coming up then is the grids.
It is indeed.
Obviously a quick turnaround after the championship celebrations we saw.
We wait patiently for it to appear. No, okay. So hopefully then we'll get the grid in a second.
There's the number 27 then of Rico Saumella. His debut season, his best is a P6 twice in 2021. So starting from the front row, his second front row, his best qualifying of the season. His other one was a 3rd place. So really good stuff from Rico Saumella.
It very much is, isn't it? And especially after, like we'd said in the Moto3 broadcast, tough conditions here so far for all of the classes. We had a quite serious rain yesterday, and it wasn't really that great on Thursday and Friday for free practice sessions either. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a punt into the unknown, I think, given that we now have a largely dry track. Still see some patches here and there, but nothing too bad after Moto3 have done some nice cleaning up for them. But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting race, I think, this one. And I think we're not going to get the grid then if we're off already. So we'll run you through it. On pole, it's Angel Piqueras from, as we saw on screen, Rico Salmela. And then we have Suratusa on the front row in 3rd place, just ahead of Uriarte on row 2. And then Max Martinez is in the middle of row 2 with Adrian Cruces alongside. So all of the real key players at the top of the standings near the front. Then we have Alvaro Carpe, Jacob Rulston, the Australian, and then Blai Trias in 9th on the grid. On the 3rd row, Joel Esteban, Eduardo Boggio and Paul Sola, sorry, I can't read, on the 4th row of the grid. So like we said, good news, despite the conditions, that all those guys who are real key players in the standings are going to be starting this race from near the front, although from what we've seen in Moto 3, maybe you don't need to do that.
Yeah, we won't give too much away. Obviously, I just gave away that there was a championship decided, so if you didn't catch it then, you probably know what's happened, but we won't give anything else away. But yeah, like you say, Fran, the top 4 are all starting in the top 6, so the championship battle really is going to be fascinating. On a tricky Valencia track, as we said, qualifying was totally wet, and Thursday and Friday, the free practice days, were either wet or very mixed conditions. They've had very, very little dry track time. So this is basically a venture into the unknown for all of them. Of course, they've had a previous race here this year at Valencia, so a lot of them will know what the story is in the dry. But it's different conditions. It's colder in November. It's just going to be super fascinating.
It is. It's almost a little bit too British here for me, to be honest. The weather over the last few days, very much obviously rain, cooler temperatures can be a bit of a risk later in the season here at the Circuit Ricardo Tormo, but it really didn't let up at all until today when we do have those bluer skies back. So yeah, it's an interesting one with a little bit less dry track time, although these guys usually have a really close race anyway. I think it's going to be it's going to be a corker, I think. Everybody hold on to your hats.
Great word, corker. I think is exactly the phrase I would use as well. That's
I think I've used it twice too many already.
That's right, there's time for it to be used again. So Piqueras then on pole position, the number 18. The yellow flags wave in the background and then the green flag will wave.
It will indeed. So then the red flag leaves the grid and we are ready for the second race of the day here in Valencia. So the red lights will come on eventually, we hope. They do indeed, and they'll go off, and we are underway then in what could be a pivotal race here in the Hawkers European Talent Cup. And we've got some very varying starts there from the guys at the front as well. Let's see who is going to get that whole shot into turn 1. I think it is going to be then the number, I didn't see who it was.
Rico Salmela, the number 27, but he's run wide, Fran.
He's run very wide indeed. So yes, there's a lot. Already plenty of action near the front then. Everyone needs to stay nice and calm in the first few corners. But yeah, it is Salmela then who's absolutely nailed that start. Well ahead in the lead. Impressive stuff from the Finnish rider, and already a little bit of daylight behind him. And then those guys on the chase is Uriarte and Rulston at the moment then. But all pretty close so far, and no dramas despite a few shuffles.
Yeah, no dramas then so far. Rulston making his way up to 3rd place from 8th on the grid. The job well done there from the winner in Estoril, where the title contenders are Brian Uriarte, the number 51, 2nd place. 85 is Javi Suratusa in 4th place. Maximo Martinez is in 5th place, and Cruces is down in 8th place. They've all stayed out of trouble is the most crucial part. Some of them ran wide into turn 1. I think we'll be seeing a lot more of that as the race goes on. 16.5 laps to go, but a great start then from Rico Salmela, aiming for his first win of the season, the first win of his European Talent Cup campaign, and he's got Brian Uriarte and the fast starting Jacob Rulston tucked up behind him.
Exactly. So yeah, now I've learned to read those numbers on the Estrella Galicia machines a little bit better. Our screen is a little bit dark, but yeah, really fantastic stuff then from those guys at the moment in that 1-2. But yeah, everyone so far cleanly away, and quite often we can see the kind of look of the race change quite a lot in the ETC as the laps tick down. So those guys who've not maybe quite had the start that they would have been dreaming of, especially Suratusa, for example, off the front row, a little bit of daylight there for him to make up, the number 85, who's just lost out on that 4th place as well.
I thought that was going to happen. Straight through the wet patch was Jacob Rulston. We saw that a couple of times in Moto 3 earlier on. You've got to be really, really careful. The track isn't fully dry, and the inside of turn 1 has a wet patch, and of course damp and dry tyres, slick tyres do not mix very well, and it's getting very, very busy.
It is indeed. So Zuratusa then cuts back through on the inside line. The number 85, he is one of our key players in the standings. But yet Ralston then did really well to hold on to that after that moment. And like you say, Elliot, there is that little bit of a damp patch there. They do still need to be careful of that. It's a lot better than when the Moto3 guys headed out earlier. But there are still a few points to just have a little bit of caution. But at the moment then, Uriarte escapes that shuffle at the front of the field, and he's got a little bit of daylight in hand as well.
Yeah, sorry, Fran, I jumped in there just because I saw Rico Salmela holding his hand up and pulling to one side, the number 27. I don't know where he's gone, but he definitely was holding his hand up as if there was some sort of issue. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. The timing screens haven't changed so far, but he's certainly not in that front group from what I can see. No, he's not, so I'm not sure where he's gone.
Good spot. We have then lost the number 27, it would appear, from this leading group. Hopefully, not sure what's happened to him. It should not and cannot be rain. So it must be an issue that the Finnish rider is suffering. Hopefully we'll get a little update and see where he's gone from this leading pack in a couple of minutes. But at the moment then, at the front, it remains Brian Uriarte leading the way, we believe. Yep, the number 51 there. So just tucked in behind him, though now he has some company from Zuratusa on the left, going the long way around. Is he going to hold on to it and take over at the front? He is. So great stuff there. And Martinez right in the mix as well, the number 28. So real key players making early hay here at the circuit, Ricardo, Tormo, and Ralston also looks to have gathered himself together a bit after that moment.
Certainly does, yeah. Top three then in the race are all fighting for the championship. Zuratusa was the championship leader heading to ref. Maximo Martinez won those two races. The man in second place and is now the world championship leader, with Brian Uriarte, the number 51, 20 points down, remember, in the title chase. So he's really got to go out and try and at least beat the guys in front of him to stand any chance of taking the title this weekend, as Jacob Ralston just get a little bit barged and bumped out there onto the green pane. It's getting very busy.
Decided to calm down too much, has he, Jacob Ralston? Great stuff from the Australian then at the moment here in this front group. But yeah, like you said, Uriarte is the man who will want to really make some points up in this race and will want to put everything on the line, because he is 20 points down, so he really needs to make some progress in the standings if it will all go down to another race later today. We'll have to see. There's plenty of shuffle to go with Martinez, Cruces and Zuratusa all ahead of the number 51 in the standings.
This is what we wanted, isn't it? The title contenders all chasing the lead of the race, all up front and battling away hard but fair in the opening laps. And that's the number 83 of Alvaro Carpe riding around the outside at turn 13 and then turn 14 as well. I'm not sure. Maybe he was taking avoiding action, so maybe that might be all right with the stewards, but you can't normally run onto the green and overtake the rider in front of you.
Yeah, no, it did look to me as well, I'd agree, just trying to avoid that shuffle just ahead of him. As yeah, Max Martinez, no holds barred there, straight through into the race lead, and he is the points leader. Like we said, he's got 8 points in hand over Cruces, so he obviously making his intentions very clear early on Sunday here in Valencia. Just wants to take that with a win as well, extend that advantage. So good stuff from the number 28. We'll need to be a little bit careful with the elbows and avoid too much more of that. And yeah, just a little bit of spice early on in this European Talent Cup race so far.
I'd say plenty of spice around it. It's been a cracking opening few laps as Perez sets the fastest lap of the race. He crossed the line down in, I can't see his, 11th place. Yeah, Gonzalo Perez in 11th place set the fast lap. The number 25, I think, just at the back of your picture there with the bright yellow helmet. So keep an eye on Perez's progress as the riders dive into turn 8 and then through turn 9 and then we'll through turn 10 into turn 11. This is where the long lap penalty lane is, of course, so keep an eye out for that.
We've seen that used once already today, or twice. So yeah, definitely if they don't abide by track limits, that can be a penalty the race direction gives out, or for any other incidents. So good to keep an eye on it. But at the moment, keeping an eye on the lead, and it still belongs to Max Martinez. But Alvaro Carpe there, the number 83, getting pretty close to the rear end of that number 28 machine. Wouldn't be surprised to see a move coming fairly soon, because he's really tagged on now, and as we head down Slipstream City towards turn 1, I'm sure he'll be trying to make his way through for the race lead. And Ralston as well, back up into third. Good job from the number 12 after that early drama.
Yeah, it is, and the number 83, the Carpe, pulls out the slipstream, dives up the inside into turn 1, nice and safely through there. Class move there from the number 83 of Carpe. He won here, we should mention, earlier on in the season. It's his only victory, only podium of the year. So Carpe knows his way around Valencia and clearly enjoys the circuit, Ricardo Tormo, and he's now taken the lead. He's not in the title fight, so all Carpe will be worrying about will be trying to take victory. Sets the fastest lap of the race of 43.7. That's going to keep tumbling, you would imagine, as track conditions continue to get better and better. And he's already put in a little bit of a lead to Maximo Martinez in second, with Ralston in third, Uriarte in fourth, another one of the winners earlier on in the season in Valencia.
He was indeed. So looks like we've got someone being wheeled away there who's sadly out of the running here. But at the front, though, still incredibly close in this tight battle just behind those front guys. You can see there's a little bit of daylight there for the top 3 at the moment, but then so much chopping and changing still just behind. And it can get pretty risky when you're in the title fight. You don't want too much drama. And then with those guys who aren't quite up for the running for the crown, just making life a little bit more complicated than you'd want. But it's a great race so far. ETC Classic as ever. But green paint, they need to be careful of those track limits. We've seen quite a few infractions already so far.
Yeah, Race Direction will be keeping an eye on that. We saw the number 18, the pole sitter Piqueras, doing the classic Valencian move up inside at turn 11, hitting the apex and getting the job done on Zurutuza. And now he's after his teammate Brian Uriarte, chasing the championship. Piqueras then, fantastic few corners for the number 18. He's got to be careful there out on the paint. You do not want to be touching that in these conditions, but I think he's made it safely through. As Max Martinez hits the front again, he's re-overtaken Alvaro Carpe.
He has indeed. So, yeah, back into the lead then is Max Martinez with one of the best names on the grid. Just made for stardom and branding, isn't it? But, yeah, great race so far then from the points leader. It doesn't look like the pressure's getting to him at all early on here at Valencia. Good stuff. And, yeah, plenty of good stuff from these guys as well, though. They are making their lives a little bit harder. And it's been a bit of a cleaner lap as well in terms of track limits. So it's calmed down a little bit. But Ralston able to go with these lead 2 at the moment. The Australian sat there in third still, but like you said, Piqueras now on the chase there in fourth, that number 18 looming large in the background.
This is a vital stage of the race for the chasing pack, the likes of Brian Uriarte, Zurutuza and Cruces, because Max Martinez is the World Championship leader. We've got a track limits warning, incidentally, for pole sitter Angel Piqueras. So there's the first one then in the lead group. Piqueras just looking behind there on the number 18. Track limits warning. So if he if he touches the green paint again without avoiding any contact or just off his own merit, then he'll have a long lap penalty to contend with. So we'll keep an eye on that and bring you news if he does receive a long lap penalty. But yeah, Fran, it is a vital stage of the race with Max Martinez looking strong. The team giving him P1 plus 0. I think he'll know that by looking behind him. He got a face full of Alvaro Carpe, didn't he, on the back straight. But the likes of Uriarte, Cruces and Zurutuza is just lagging off the back of the leaders just there. It's a very important stage of the race as they run wide at turn 1.
Yeah, you see that's that's a little bit extreme there, going that far into the runoff. You know, you've got to be careful here at Valencia. As you can see, there's plenty of green paint around the track and you can't get too cheeky with it. But at the moment then, Max Martinez doing everything he can to try and put one hand on the crown. And as you can see, the standings there, he would be 23 points clear heading into race 2, which is almost job done, but not quite. And Cruces and Zurutuza both, yeah, not quite with this lead group at the moment. There's just that second gaggle, and I think that's going to be pretty interesting because we do have, yeah, Piqueras at the moment is the last rider really in this lead quartet. That's quite nicely done, but optimistic as well. That was very nice stuff there from Carpe to take back the lead. So great stuff from the number 83, but Max Martinez, I'm sure, will use his right of reply as soon as possible. The number 28 looking very keen to lead here.
He is indeed, and judging by that graphic there, obviously it's changed a little bit now with Martinez going down to second, but If it finished with Martinez winning and those three there, Crashes, Circuito and Uriarte, finishing where they are, then there'll only be one rider left challenging Martinez in the final race, and that would be the number 10 of Crashes. So things going the way of
maths. I'm impressed.
Absolutely. Things going the way of the number 28 of Martinez so far, but there's 10 laps to go. Still a long way. Still a lot can happen in this Hawkers European Talent Cup race. And as I say that, he retakes the lead down into turn 1.
Yeah, I think Max Martinez has very much come out this morning with the intention to win the race, although that's a little bit wide there.
Gotta be careful.
Slots back into second. But yeah, you can see not really trying to think too much about the points, I don't think, Martinez. Just really aiming to win this race and give it everything he's got. These guys also giving it a lot, but again, a couple of track limits infractions there, and it's all getting very spicy with these three, and they really can't afford to lose much more time either. And the more that they attack each other and chop and change, that gap could grow and grow.
They need to work together really at this stage of the race, because if they keep, like you say, Fran, chopping and changing and making each other lose lines and lose their ground as Circuito runs wide again, surely a warning is going to become in the way of the number 85. But yeah, they need to try and work together. Obviously, two of them are teammates in the Cuna de Campeones team. And Uriarte is team Australia Galicia, so they need to try and box clever here in the next few laps to try and bridge that gap to Jacob Ralston, who is in 4th place.
They do. It's not the ideal way to lose a cup, is it, when you all get in each other's way? Because they are the 3 key contenders as well in the standings behind the number 28 of Max Martinez. But he hasn't then been able to attack Carpe again. So that's interesting from the number 83, just been able to keep that bit of daylight in the race lead. So good stuff from him. Impressive ride so far. But Max Martinez still in 2nd place though, and still very much in the hot seat in terms of the points.
Piqueras doing all he can to try and help teammate Brian Uriarte in the championship fight. I think I've got a little bit of a feeling that Piqueras is going to get some slipstream and pull out up the inside in turn 1. It doesn't look like he's got that much slipstream though, despite being tucked up right behind Martinez. So Martinez must have got a fantastic run out of the final corner to hold on to 2nd place. And meanwhile, Alvaro Carpe has stretched out a 0.6 second lead. So good stuff from the race leader. Incidentally, these trio are now a good 1.4, 1.5 seconds down on the scrap for victory. So we mentioned it half a lap ago, we're going to mention it again. They need to box clever. They need to try and work together to bridge that gap. Otherwise, if Martinez can finish where he is, he's in a very, very strong position heading into the final race.
Yeah, most definitely. Even if Martinez ends up at the back of this trio that he's in now, he'd still be ahead of those 3 guys who are his key challengers. So definitely needs to, yeah, those guys need to just reset and try and get the pace up again a little bit. But we also have a track limits warning for the number 85 of Circuito. Like we said, we saw a couple of cheeky moments from that group as they were chopping and changing. They do need to be careful about that. No one wants to see a championship or a cup decided on penalties and track limits infractions, but you know, you've got to use the track, not the entire area within the circuit. So yeah, hopefully they'll get a little bit cleaner, and also now just heads down, try and make that gap up, because like you say, it is a 1.5 seconds now.
That was a lunge and a half, wasn't it, from
it was.
Crashes on his teammate Xabi Circuito, as Max Martinez now slips down to 3rd place. I think he was 3rd place earlier on the lap behind Angel Piqueras. So it's going to be interesting to see what Carpe's gap is at the front. I don't think it's quite up to a second yet, but he's now being allowed to get into a nice little rhythm. It's just under 0.7 seconds. So yeah, about what it was at the start of the lap, but he's now being untroubled as Ralston runs a little bit wide there. Thankfully, I think just about keeps it on, yes, but Piqueras doesn't, as Max Martinez gives the classic stay behind me, boys, but I don't think that's going to quite work.
Yeah, that was optimistic there, wasn't it? A couple of them tapping the seat units there. It's a classic move we see in the smaller categories of motorcycle racing, and it's also a classic move always ignored. So yeah, optimism, but it looks like Ralston though has definitely regrouped after that earlier moment. He looked like he was wanting to go on the attack into turn 1 that time around. Max Martinez though holding on to 2nd. Not sure if the number 28 or the number 12 have got the pace to try and pull back Alvaro Carpe. But at the moment though, these guys not getting in each other's way too much.
Yeah, not too much. Piqueras just slipping down there into 4th place. Max Martinez tapping the back of his bike just to say, follow me, boys. I'm going to drag us back up to Alvaro Carpe. So we'll keep an eye on the line when they cross the line. And breaking news, track limits, long lap penalty for number 18. There it is on your screen. For Angel Piqueras. He just looks behind him, doesn't see anyone about. So, in fact, Piqueras, the gap between, what is it, the top 4 and 5th place Brian Uriarte, I think it's Zurituza now, is over 2 seconds. So Piqueras might dive into the long lap penalty lane and come out. Either way, he's going to come out either just in front or right in the gaggle of the 3 title contenders.
He is indeed. So, yes, that's could potentially have a bit of a bearing on this race then. As you can see at the moment, tucked in, looking to attack Jacob Ralston for 3rd place. But yeah, that long lap penalty then, as you can see, it's a big chunk of daylight now between Group 1 and Group 2. So potentially enough space to slot back in just ahead of this trio. Not sure. I'm sure we'll see soon. But these guys then not heeding our warnings at all. Still absolutely giving it everything there. And it's now Cruces at the front of this trio then, the number 10.
What's the gap then between Piqueras in 4th and now Cruces in 5th? When they crossed the line, it was Zurituza in 5th, and it was 2.7 seconds, the gap between. Someone gone down there, the marshals are running across, or was my eyes playing tricks on me? Has someone gone down at turn 4?
Not sure, don't think so, but I also wondered that as well, yeah, because we did see yeah, the marshals just in shot there. No, I think we've got all of our players are still on the track, so that's good. But yeah, at the moment then, as you can see, Adrian Cruces, a little bit of daylight behind the number 10 now, as those guys keep, oh, maybe we do have a crasher then. And we'll have to see who it is. So it's Alvaro Carpe. So it was our race leader then. Absolutely surprising crash after looking so solid for the number 83. We do hope he is okay. Hopefully we'll get an update on him soon, and he'll be walking off through the gravel trap after that one. So yeah, it was our race leader then. So we're drama at the front in the European Talent Cup.
Yeah, fingers crossed Carpe is okay after that. Turn 4 is never a good place to go down. We did mention before that turn 4 is one of the ones you have to look out for, because it's the first time you go onto the right-hand side of the tyre after turn 12 on the previous lap. So yeah, hopefully Carpe is okay. No sign of any red flags so far, so hopefully Carpe is up on his feet or has been able to get to the side of the track safe and sound.
Yep, so back at the front then, we now have Max Martinez after that crash for our former race leader. So the number 28, absolutely everything going his way in this one in terms of those standings and those vital points. And then it's Jacob Ralston then in 2nd place. And then we have this almighty battle that is now for the podium as well, not just for the 3rd place. Sorry, not just for the 4th place. 3rd place is, of course, on the podium. But yeah, it looks like then that must be Carpe, so you can see him moving there on the stretcher. I'm sure a little bit bruised and winded after that one regardless, so we wish him the best. Hope to see him get the full rider okay after a checkup. But it is then Max Martinez in the race lead, like we said, from Jacob Ralston, and a little bit more of a gap between those two. But then there is a real gap now back to that battle for what is now the final step on the podium. And it could get more interesting than ever now between those guys. Everyone else in the title fight is now quite a postcode behind Max Martinez in this race.
Yeah, it looks pretty much done and dusted, doesn't it, in terms of who's going to be finishing 1st and 2nd, barring any crashes, of course, or any penalties that might come their way. But this has been absolutely class from Maximo Martinez, the championship leader. Ralston's keeping him honest. Let's see the gap over the line. It's under a second for sure. Might be around half a second as they come across the line. Yeah, 0.4 seconds, so
almost
half a second. And now Cruces is up into 3rd place. This is absolutely vital for Cruces, the number 10, Xabi Turatu, the number 85, and Brian Uriarte, the number 51 there at the back of the group. They need to finish on the podium. They need to try and beat Maximo Martinez, but looks like that's not going to happen now.
It definitely doesn't. They're also still getting in each other's way. We've also had a track limits warning now for the number 10. That's Adrian Cruces. So that could be crucial later on as well in this race. I had to do it. But yeah, these guys then still absolutely fighting it out here in what is now that battle for third place. And yeah, Brian Uriarte just lost a little bit of time there, number 51 rather, in the background, just losing a little bit of distance on the fight ahead. But if they do continue changing positions, I think it could be a good sign for the number 51 to try and tag back on. And they definitely are, as you can see then, diving down the inside. And yeah, these guys just not making their lives easy, are they, on the Sunday?
No, they're not, but that was a fantastic move up the inside into turn 8 from Zurutuza. They know the score, they know what they have to do. They can see their title rival Martinez winning the race, or leading the race, should I say. And now Cruzes and Zurutuza, the two Cuna de Campeones riders, have got the better of Angel Piqueras, who's slipped a little bit further behind immediately from the two. So maybe they've got the hammer down now. They need to work together in the last 4 laps to have any chance of closing the gap to Ralston and Martinez, but that looks highly unlikely. It's 3 seconds, a good 3 seconds, maybe more, as they cross the line. Let's have a look at the gap. Yeah, 3.3 seconds it is to the race leaders, so it looks highly unlikely. So it is a battle for third place, and Zurutuza up the inside at turn 1 makes it stick. Doesn't go wide though, no, just about keeps it on.
Just about keeps it on, exactly. So nice stuff from the number 85. Another great move diving up the inside. Looks pretty controlled, if aggressive, does Sabi Zurutuza in this one. And we saw as well over the line that time around, Jacob Woolstone has really managed to tag onto the back of Max Martinez in the lead. It was only a 10.5-ish between the two last time over the line, which is quite a difference. As I say that though, maybe a bit of a commentator's curse. Also a track limits warning for the number 12, which is Jacob Woolstone. So he'll need to be a little bit careful there, not to abuse those green bits of paint too much. But these two then, as you can see, absolutely locked together. Will Ralston go for a move quickly? Will he keep lining up, sizing him up? We'll have to see. But a great job then to tag back onto the back of Max Martinez, who at one point had, yeah, half a second in hand at the number 28.
Yeah, Ralston's looking good here, isn't he? Climbing all over the back of Max Martinez. We also want to know Martinez is leading the championship, and he's in a championship fight, so you'd have to think Ralston won't do anything too silly, but Ralston's not in the championship fight. Ralston will just want to win. He's not been on the podium since his first win of the season in Jerez in race 1, so it looks like at least a second place is secured, barring a disaster. But Ralston, he's a racer at the end of the day, and he'll want to win no matter what. So this is going to be an epic fight in the final 3 laps between the championship leader, the man 10th in the championship in Ralston, and then for the final podium battle between Cruzes, Zurutuza, Piqueras and Uriarte.
It surely will be. So it looks a little bit tempting there for the number 12 into turn 1, but no, he slots back into second place and just keeps tabs on Max Martinez. And that was a big wobble there for one of those guys. I think it was Zurutuza in that pack there. These guys really are giving it everything still. Number 85 looking for a way through there. Nope, the door is closed. And we have a change of leader then. The number 12 has struck for gold and takes over in the race lead. He's obviously had a good long look at Max Martinez. And now then it's Jacob Ralston leading this race. And Max Martinez will have to see. Does he know how much fresh air is behind them? He can afford to take second and just control those risks, but I'm sure he will want to win. There you see, he has a good look then. He knows they have got some time in hand in this duel.
Good news then for Jacob Ralston. Bad news for Martinez. Not terrible news though, he's still in second, but it is also good news for the likes of Zurutuza, Cruzes and Uriarte to see Martinez not winning the race or leading the race. There's still 2 and a bit laps to go though. Ralston looking very good though, isn't he? We didn't see the pass as we see a pass here from Piqueras. I think that is down at the inside of Zurutuza.
That was nicely done,
into turn 11 once again. He's done that a couple of times as Angel Piqueras, so clearly confident on the front end of that motorcycle. But Zurutuza says, sorry mate, I'm coming back through right at the next corner. So Zurutuza then fighting straight back behind his teammate Cruzes, and with just 2 laps to go, the battle for the podium is going to go down to the final corner as Uriarte then gets the better of his teammate Piqueras down into turn 14.
Yep, certainly. So these guys still chopping and changing. A little bit of daylight now for the number 10, Adrian Cruces there. So it'll be interesting to see if he can just manage to break away from those guys. We'll remind you, it's Cruces second in the standings, 8 points down on Martinez. Zuritusa is third, 11 down, and 20 down is Brian Uriarte over that man who is back in the race lead, Max Martinez, just ahead of this big group squabble. So it can really change so quickly here, depending on who wins between those two in the lead and then who comes out on top in that fight for third place. Cruces, he is the closest. I'm sure he'll be giving it everything to make sure he can at least do the maximum within that group and take that final step on the podium.
Thought Ralston there was going to dive at the inside.
I did too.
At turn 6.
He looked very tempted, didn't he?
Just got to watch out for turn 1, because I noticed then on the last lap the number 28 and number 12, Martinez and Ralston, take very, very different lines into turn 1. Martinez takes it a little bit narrower, and Ralston takes a more sweeping line and gets a very, very good run out of turn 1 and into turn 2. So that'll be interesting to see what happens heading on to the last lap.
It will, especially after, I can imagine Ralston really wants to avoid a repeat of anything earlier. Oh, cleanly done. Very nicely done there. Just an Estrella Galicia sandwich there completed. Nice work then from Uriarte. He is the man who is 4th overall, so does need to make some progress through this group. Has he picked his moment to perfection to just not really get too involved in that fight and then strike right at the end of the race? Little bit wide there from Cruces, and it's going to be an interesting shuffle into turn 1 on the final lap in that fight. In the fight at the front though, who is going to come out on top? We are going to find out soon enough. Blue flags for the extra drama. Max Martinez though, I think he's got it nice and sewn up into round turn 1, nothing to be done for Jacob Ralston. Is he going to strike soon? He is, the number 12. No, there's no way through though. Slots back into second.
Yeah, that sweeping line then giving him a good run, Ralston, into turn 2, but not quite close enough to make a pass stick. So turn 4 then, another opportunistic passing move completed there for the 2 up front. Now into turn 5, nothing here. Is he going to make a move into turn 6? He threatened on the last lap. It is the last lap now. Is Jacob Ralston going to make a move on the inside of Martinez? No, not quite. So we're going to head down the back straight. Slipstream City, here we go.
Here we go indeed. So the number 12 absolutely tucked in there. Is he going to be close enough to make a move on the brakes? I'm not sure. It might all go down to the final corner here at Valencia. You can see just trying to get as much drive as possible there, but I don't know if he's going to be close enough. It's a great last lap from Max Martinez at the moment. Super solid from the number 28, closing the doors in all the right places.
Whoa, what's going on here? The number 2 there is a back marker. Hopefully he's got out of the way all nicely and cleanly. I think he has. This is going down to the final corner. Who's leading it so far? It's Zuritusa from Uriarte from Cruces. This is crucial in the battle for the title race. Going down then to the final corner. We're concentrating on the 3rd place battle. It's Zuritusa from Uriarte. Who's leading up front? I think it might be Max Martinez still. They'd have passed the final corner now. Cruces up the inside. Max Martinez then leads out of the final corner. Jacob Ralston in the slipstream, but it's going to be Max Martinez, the championship leader, who wins race 1 here in the Hawkers European Talent Cup. And who's going to get 3rd place? That's very, very close. I think it's Zuritusa. Yes, it is, from Cruces and Uriarte. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a huge win for Max Martinez.
That really is, and especially as well, congratulations to Jacob Ralston for a really intelligent, calm race there as well. He's not a player in the top of the standings, but put up a great, really good fight to the end there, did the Australian. 2nd place, but what a win for Martinez then. Impressive stuff, and only extends that lead.
Whew. Great race there from the 2 in your screen. Jacob Ralston returning to the podium for the first time since his win in Estoril. Fantastic ride from the Australian. But Max Martinez, he's not world champion. He won't be world champion either. It's European Talent Cup, of course. He's not champion yet, but that is what you would call a champion's ride. Race 1 win here in Valencia. He's enjoying himself on the last lap with who he battled with as well. Xabi Zuritusa grabbed 3rd on the line. How close was it? Let's have a look. Yeah, 0.037 seconds. Back to teammate Cruces, and Uriarte finished less than the 10th off as well. So hopefully we'll get the championship standings soon so we can work out what we've got to look forward to in race 2. But with that epic ride. The number 28, Maximo Martinez, the debutant this year, remember, this is his first year of European Talent Cup racing, is now in the driving seat. He was in the driving seat already, but now he's got one hand on the trophy. But a lot can happen, can't it? This is motorcycle racing. It's never over until it's officially over. But he's put himself into a magnificent position. Jacob Ralston, another fantastic ride from him. Said he was feeling the pressure after his race 1 win in Estoril. He's had a quiet season since a best of 6, as we mentioned, in Valencia. But what a way to bounce back to some form for the Australian Jacob Ralston. So much talent there, of course, as we just saw. And there's Xabi Suratuza, 3rd place for the former championship leader, heading to Jerez he was, and then that DNF in race 2 cost him the title lead. Finished 5th in the first race, so he was 11 points down on Martinez heading into race 1. It's going to be even more now. As hopefully we'll get the championship standing so we can bring you the latest. I think Martinez will be 17 points clear, if my maths does me well. It never normally does, so don't take my word for that. But Max Martinez then pulls into Parc Ferme. Huge round of applause from his team and his family. Congratulations also from Jacob Ralston. Fantastic effort from both riders. Thumbs up. Yeah, and they know what a huge victory that is for Max Martinez. Here he is then, the championship standings. So Martinez, 20-point lead ahead of Suratuza and Cruces heading into race 2 later on this afternoon. Ariarte now, unfortunately, is out of the running with only 25 points left on the table. So 20 points then to Cruces and Suratuza. So Max Martinez can not take it steady, of course, but he can sort of take a leaf out of Daniel Holgado's book and just keep out of trouble and do what he needs to do to claim the 2021 Hawkers European Talent Cup crown. We'll be hearing from him, of course, down in pit lane with Fran Wild, who's legged it out of the commentary box. And they'll go stand on the podium, spray some fizzy water. Of course, not old enough yet for the proper bubbly. That'll come in due course. As they then get set for race 2, the championship decider. Max Martinez taking a huge leap towards the title. Not quite done it yet. Xabi Suratuza there. Did very well in the end to grab 3rd place from teammate Cruces and finish ahead of Brian Ariarte and Angel Piqueras. It was a great scrap, wasn't it, between those 4 riders. And here's how it was won for Max Martinez. Drafted past Jacob Ralston on the straight. A move we see ever so often, don't we, across every class really, from MotoGP down to European Talent Cup. Got the job done down into turn 1. No mistakes were made, and this is crossing the line. Jacob Ralston did his best to try and grab that last little bit of slipstream, but it wasn't enough to take the win away from Martinez. There's the team, of course, celebrating victory. That's 3 in a row now for Max Martinez after his double in Jerez. Seems like an age ago, doesn't it? Well, that's probably because it was an age ago. It was at least a couple of months ago, the last time the European Talent Cup riders were racing. And there you can see the sheer delight for Max Martinez after his 3rd win of the season. That's 4 podiums in a row, 5 in his last 6 races since that DNF right here at the Circuit Ricardo Tormo in race 2 earlier on this year. It's just been an outstanding run of form for Martinez since then. The lowest he's finished is 4th, and we can hear from him now. He's down in Parc Ferme with Fran Wild.
Well, that was an incredible fight at the front with Jacob, and with some nerves today with the standings and the points so close, but congratulations. Talk us through the race.
Well, yes, thank you very much. The race has been very difficult because there was some wet places, so the first turn was very difficult. And well, with Jacob, we were overtaking sometimes, but First of the race, Alvaro was on the front, and I tried to get stuck to him, only that he crashed. I hope he's okay, and well, I want to dedicate this race to all my team, everybody, Gas 74, and everybody, and Hugo as well, and Luis Salón.
Thank you very much. Y en castellano también, por favor.
Bueno, la carrera ha sido muy difícil, había partes mojadas y era muy difícil porque deslizaba mucho, pero al principio intenté pegarme a Álvaro, desafortunadamente se ha caído, espero que esté bien. Y bueno, he podido escaparme un poco y he sacado metros con Jacob. Y bueno, esta carrera quiero dedicársela a Gas 74, que entreno ahí siempre, a Hugo, a Luis, a todo mi equipo, a toda mi familia. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, enhorabuena.
Here's the highlights then from race 1 of 2 in the Hawkers European Talent Cup here in Valencia. And it was a fast start for pole sitter Angel Piqueras as the title contenders battled it out in the opening exchanges, getting very busy there through turns 2 and 3. That's Zurituza diving up the inside on the number 85 machine, with Max Martinez battling away in the opening exchanges, the number 28. Turn 1 was a little bit treacherous for the riders. Damp patches still on the circuit after heavy rain throughout Saturday's qualifying and overnight. But the riders soon got into their rhythm, soon got a little bit more confident, with plenty of passing manoeuvres coming down into turn 11, as we always see in Valencia. That was Alvaro Carpe diving up the inside of Max Martinez into turn 1. Unfortunately for the number 83, his race would end prematurely at turn 4. Fingers crossed Carpe is all okay and ready to bounce back in race 2. Pole sitter Piqueras did get a long lap penalty. There is Alvaro Carpe. Had to get stretchered away, but he was conscious and was moving, so that's a good sign at least. Fingers crossed, as we say, that he's okay to fight on in race 2, the last race of the season, as 3 title contenders, Uriarte, Zurituza and Cruzes, battled it out. Meanwhile, at the front, there was Max Martinez and Jacob Ralston battling for the win. But ultimately, championship leader Max Martinez would take a giant leap towards the title in 2021 with his 3rd victory of the season, his 3rd in a row. In fact, Jacob Ralston returned to the podium after his first win in Estoril. And Zurituza could prove to be a vital podium in 3rd place as he and teammate Adrian Cruzes head into the final race of the season. 20 points down on the number 28, Max Martinez. One hand on the trophy, it seems, for the young Spaniard. Will he take victory in race 2, I wonder? Will he take the title, more importantly, in race 2? That's coming your way a little bit later on after the Moto2 European Championship race and the Moto3 Junior World Championship race, the Moto2 European Championship, sorry. Here's the podium then. Zurituza, Jacob Ralston and Max Martinez. Fantastic podium for all 3. Good to see plenty of handshakes and smiles there on the podium. Zurituza will get his trophy just after Team Honda Laglice get their trophy. Thanks to Max Martinez's superb ride. Zurituza gets the 3rd place trophy. Great result on the day for Zurituza. Not the best in terms of the World Championship, the European Championship. Very easy to get confused. But good to see Zurituza smiling after a podium. Jacob Ralston, fantastic result for the Australian, and Max Martinez, the man of the moment. And another P1 trophy and $200. 200 euros, sorry, not in America. 200 euros. Nice little bit of pocket money as we hear the national anthem of Spain.
Hay aplausos para los cuatro premiados.
Very familiar national anthem, isn't it, for motorcycle racing fans? Spain just continue to breed talent into the FIM, Sev, Repsol, and into the World Championship thereafter. Riders spray the bubbly then, only fizzy water of course. A very, very important afternoon coming up for Max Martinez. Xavi Turatuza there. And Jacob Ralston, of course, will be aiming to grab another podium to add to his first place and second place so far this season. Do stick around to join us for that later on. Final race of the day. Like I say, we've got the Moto2 European Championship curtain closer. Then we've got the final Moto3 Junior World Championship race, and then the title decider between Max Martinez, Xavi Turatuza on the right-hand side of your screen there, and Adrian Cruzes.
Here we go then, the final results of that race. Almost nothing in it, just a 10th between Max Martinez and Jacob Ralston. The very tall Australian, of course, on the slipstream, just losing out there. Turatuza, Cruzes and Uriarte there, with Piqueras in 6th by the end in that close fight. Then Gonzalo Perez, Facundo Yambias and Joel Esteban in the top 9. A little bit of daylight between a few of those riders behind that group, and then another close fight with Blai Trias, Guido Pini, Cesar I should say, Spanish, not Italian, Paul Solar, Pau Alsina and Emmanuel David Brinton, then in 15th place and rounding out the point scorers. And that was a close fight for that final point as well, wasn't it? So lots of close battles throughout the field in the ETC, as we've become accustomed to. And another great race and a great duel, ice cold from Max Martinez at the front in the best way. And yeah, sets up a real thriller later on.
Certainly is going to be a thriller. Don't miss it. Title decider, always good to watch no matter what. And it's going to be even better with all the title contenders up the sharp end, all looking strong. So yeah, do tune in for that a little bit later on this afternoon. I think we're going to get a look at the championship standings. Yes, we are. So here we go then. Max Martinez heads into the final race of the season with a 20-point advantage over Turatuza and Cruzes, with Uriarte now out of the title equation.
Yep, so that was a big race for Max Martinez and a big win, and it is a 20-point advantage, so never say never, but impressive stuff from the young Spaniard to, yeah, really make that count on a pivotal day. And Ralston as well then into that top 10 with another podium after, like we said, he was an early winner in the season and then just had a bit of a tougher time of it. He is a lot taller. Like I said, it's really down in Parc Fermé, it's even more pronounced, so much taller. So I'm sure he'll be hoping to change his tactics a bit later on so he doesn't have to rely on that slipstream in the latter stages.
Yeah, always a disadvantage, isn't it? I wouldn't know what it's like to be that tall, but...
Well, he's as tall as me, if not taller, and Max Martinez is like up to my waist, so, you know.
We saw it with Ivan Altola, didn't we, last year? He just looks like an absolute giant on these smaller Talent Cup bikes, and obviously Altola's now gone on to do very, very well in the Junior World Championship, so maybe that's the same case for Jacob Ralston. But there they are then, crossing the line. That was race 1. Max Martinez, the number 28, heads into the final race of the year as the man in charge.